Well, happy Saturday, YouTube organists. I thought it would be fun to do a little casual video on something I've been thinking about of late with some amusement, and that's tempo of organ literature. I get a huge kick out of comm boxes on YouTube videos because it doesn't seem to matter who is playing a piece of music, like, for example, this Vidor Toccata from Symphony No. 5. It doesn't seem to matter whether it's an amateur at home or whether it's Olivier Latry in Notre Dame. According to YouTube watchers, it's too fast. I couldn't hear the notes. It was a jumble. Too much energy. Not slow enough for my tastes. Needs to be more regal and majestic. Whatever, and on and on and on and on they go. No, but in all seriousness, I just thought it might be fun to kind of talk about, like, if you were a newer organist, how exactly do you go about choosing a tempo for a piece like this? Well, you know, we can start with something like that Vidor Toccata and say, all right, well, what's the tempo marking at the beginning? But the score that I have says quarter note is 118, so I'm going to set a metronome here for 118, and let's see what that is all about. So at that tempo, we have something like this. So that is the tempo that's written. So that's, you know, looking at the written tempo is always a good place to start. But that's not where you end. On the one hand, you need to consider what your abilities are. It's really important when you're playing something like this to make sure you're playing it at a tempo that you're capable of performing it well. For example, we have this. And if you're trying to play it so fast that you can't get those 16th notes. So if you're trying to play, not really getting those 16th notes in there, then you're playing too fast. You've got to dial it back. Maybe that 118 is a little too fast for you. Dial it back. Try to find somewhere where you can play it. Consideration number 3 is the room that you're playing in. Is there a long reverb decay? So when you play a note, does it reverberate for several seconds? Or are you in a dry room and it's just a quick no reverb situation? That's going to play into your tempo. If you are in a room with little or no reverb, you can not only get away with playing things a little bit more quickly, sometimes it's helpful. Otherwise, you can get a very almost excessively staccato sound in a really dry room. Okay, so what's the other end of that spectrum? Well, what if you're in Centerpiece or some big cathedral and you've got 8, 9, 10 seconds of reverb? Well, if you play that fast, that's when you get that completely muddy, wishy-washy sound. You're not even really picking out what the notes are in those, you know, arpeggios. You need to be able to hear those, you need to be able to hear the left hand. It's all there for a reason, right? So let's recap. Look at the tempo marking, know your own abilities, and then know your room. And part of knowing your room, too, I guess, is knowing your instrument and its resources. So you need to know your organ, you need to know your room, and you need to know your ability. Then you can come up with a tempo that kind of meets all those criteria. You can always add additional nuance to your interpretation of the tempo based on your historical knowledge of the composer, of the particular piece. So there is a lot that you could do to inform your tempo, but you can also use your own musicianship in determining the appropriate tempo. One big piece of advice for you is don't let YouTube tell you how fast to play a piece. Now, there is such thing as too fast, right? So there's Virgil Fox and Diane Bish tempo on some things that you probably don't want, you know, here again, the Vidor Toccata. Don't fall into the trap of thinking, like, when you're playing a toccata that, oh, it's a toccata, it's meant to show off virtuosity, so, gee, I can just play as fast as I want. No, don't do that. But again, it doesn't have to be a funeral dirge either. No. That's not really musical. That's like zombie music, okay? Be musical. Use your own ear. Don't rush. Don't drag. Play it at a nice tempo that meets all of those conditions, considering the written tempo, the room, the instrument, your abilities, the composer's mind, and your own preferences. Find a tempo that feels right, that sounds right, and that makes you happy. If you want my honest opinion, the recording of Vidor playing his 5th Symphony is very moving to know that the composer himself was performing it on a fantastic instrument at 88 years old. It's too slow. Controversial.